Hi, hello my friends. Welcome to week 18. Today, for a change and to get some fresh air, I thought about talking while walking. And these days, still so much news everywhere. Now, Pope and Trump sharing messages. And what I see in media is mostly everyone, any leader, come to media and justify their action. And how can you justify killing, harming innocent civilian by the name of survival? Who gave people the authority to plan years before to kill and harm civilians? Is that survival? If it is that survival, in that survival, are you protecting your life, or you protecting some of your identity, power, or control? Some say in the evolution, the strongest one will survive. But how do you know you survive? Really? What if they come again in another life and be more strong than you, and they kill you again? In that time, not the right. Because the earth is billions of years old. Earth is billions of years old. Even scientists now have said that we humans are all interconnected. Then how can some people come to media and say they are chosen people? Who told that? Did it written in a book? Is that a fact? Or is that some people's imagination? Because there are so much information, excuses that leaders are providing, and some are beliefs. So let's talk about the facts today. Facts. There are things we know in the world. Also, there are things we don't know in the world. And there are things we believe. We believe mean we don't know for sure. So we like to think that that is true just because we have practiced that belief over and over again in our lifetime. So basically a fact is there are things in the world we know, and there are things in the world we don't know, and there are things we believe, right? So for a fact, we know that each and every human is born into this world as a baby, right? Each and every human born into this world as a baby. And since we born, we learn. We learn from our surrounding, from what we see, what we hear, what we experience in life, touch from senses, smell, taste. From those senses, we learn from our surrounding only, right? From what we see, hear, experience. And for a fact, we know from the birth to death, we learn. We always learn patterns. And for a fact, you know, whatever you do in this life, you have to go. And you don't know where you are going for a fact. So our life is maximum of 80, 100 years maximum on this earth. But this earth itself is billions of years old. Billions of years old. And how can you say whatever you do in this world that you will remember forever your name? No. Whoever you are, you will be remembered only 1 month, 10 months, 1 year, 10 year, 50, 100, 1000, 10,000, 100,000. No. By then, you are no one in this world. And also, for a fact, humans have emotions, feelings, thoughts, and we operate our life from the information we received, our senses, and the way we process with our old beliefs and patterns. And for a fact, humans believe what they know is true. And we all have attachments. Humans have attachments. Mostly humans are attached to our body. Whatever happens to our body, we react because we don't like the pain. We use our strength and whatever power we have to avoid pain to our body because we are attached to it. We don't like that pain. And then humans have attached to our beliefs, habits, behavior patterns. We are attached. Whatever happens to our habit, something out of the routine, we might react. When someone attacks our beliefs, we react, we try to defend. We don't want our beliefs to get attacked because it hurts. So our body, the mind, try to minimize the pain, so we react. And then humans are attached to family and friends. How many people that you know close enough? 50, 100, 500? Not that much. Even for your wedding, from both the parties, maximum 500 people will come. And then humans are attached to our worldly resources. The money we inherited, resources we inherited, or something you can buy with money, like houses, cars, gold. When something happened to your car, you feel pain because you bought it with the money you earned. So you feel attachment towards your car. And when something happens, you react because it can destroy the way of your survival. Destroy means interrupt. So you react. When something happened to your house, you react. But when something happened to your neighbor's car, you don't feel bad. You don't feel much pain because it didn't interrupt your way of survival. It only interrupted their way of survival. And then humans are attached to our titles, right? If you are a manager, you don't want to go again into being an assistant manager because you have attachment towards being a manager, to that control, to that position. So you don't want to go lower unless you want to go higher and higher. So we have an attachment to our titles. Whoever in power, when they control many people and when they lose their power, they try to do anything to get their power back. I knew some presidents, they can only elect for president for 2 terms, but they will change the constitution and elect running for 3rd time. Why? Because they have attachment. And then there are other people in the world, right? So in our attachments, we are mostly attached to very few people and other resources and titles and beliefs and habits. Who we are attached to that identity before millions of people in the world, right? And it is same for each and every human in the world. And when you are born, you even didn't know how to walk. You learn to walk step by step, falling, standing up, falling, standing up. You tried so many times. And each of the step that you tried, each of the moment is stored in your subconscious mind. And that is a fact. And whatever you do continuously, repeatedly or more often, it stays in the conscious mind. That is why sometimes the maths problem you have solved in grade 6, 7, very easily you have solved in quick time, because you have done that kind of question so much in recent times and it is in conscious mind. You can solve that question easily. But when you are 25, 30, you haven't solved that equation recently and your brain can't resolve that question just like quickly you did in grade 6. Why? Because those information is not in the conscious mind because you are not using it much. So just like that, we got to learn to talk even word by word by repeating continuously. We learn to talk, and basically your world is the people you meet in your life. There can be 8 billion people in the world, but in your whole lifetime you roughly meet like 100,000 people. So basically your world is that amount of people and things you see here. That's where you get the information. Right now I see a helicopter and I can get information that helicopter is going somewhere. So what we see is from where you are, when you rotate 360 angle, from whatever reach, you absorb information into your life, right? So imagine if there's a TV in front of you, don't you get the information from the TV? You are. So when you are young, when you learn to walk, that each step created a pattern in your subconscious mind, and that's why it keep repeating. Now you walk without even thinking, but before you couldn't. So practice means you do it repeatedly enough, you keep the memory of that pattern in your mind. Whatever skill you learn in your life is some pattern you have did repeatedly. Swimming, basketball, cricket or whatever sport you are good at it mean you have done it many times and it become part of you, become your identity. You have repeatedly done so many patterns, and for a fact we know after humans are born we got to survive, we got to provide our food, shelter, and we got to sleep safe. That's what people need to survive in this world. But your first 20, 30, 25 years, for most of the people, your life is run by autopilot. That means you don't know how you get there, but you have become the person who you are by you are 25. That means your life is basically shaped by your surrounding, the behaviors, habits, beliefs. You absorb it from your surrounding, and after 20-25 years you are product of your environment you grew up with, the information you have absorbed from whatever media. That's who you become. But after that, whatever happens in our life, whether it is repeated unconsciously or we take that action consciously, it will be our choice. And most of the time people in the world, they don't know how their mind work because we have not learned that when we are young, because we come to this earth just with our body, and that is a fact, and we learn what we can do with our legs, what we can do with our hands, what we can do with our mouth. We learn about our body for survival, but we don't learn about our mind. So that who should give that education? When they are in school. That's why parents send them to school to learn, to live their life. But most important thing, your mind, we don't get to learn about that. And that information, knowledge, education is in the world. You can't say we don't have that knowledge. We have that knowledge, and people who have access to that knowledge, they use that knowledge to protect themselves, but they don't want everyone to have that knowledge. Why? Because if you have that knowledge, you get to become conscious about your actions, and then they won't be able to control you, manipulate you, or keep you in a system where they profit massively, but you can hardly survive. So as I said before, humans need to survive, right? For that, we got to provide our food, shelter, water, and we have to be safe. And to make that easy, to make it happen easy to provide our basic needs, humans have created something called money to make our transactions easier. Before money, people use so many systems. Before that, we use barter systems, that exchanging goods for goods. And then in the evolution, we have invented money. So why we have invented money? To make the transactions easy. So that means the economics is the current, the flow of money, right? Flow of currency. So basic principle of economics is the money should flow. So whoever live in this world right now, if they have to provide their basic needs to live happily, safely, they have to use that flow. So humans, we have created systems around that flow to make our survival easy. And for a fact, I said that humans are born like babies and we didn't know anything. And it is same for you, for me, for the President of United States, for the Pope, for whatever human, they didn't know anything. So in the evolution, like something we have inherited from our parents, the existing system, and we have contributed our knowledge, and to make it easy for our survival, within that 100 years, we add our contribution. And likewise, we have evolved up to now. Sometimes you might argue that you know more than your parents, right? So that means we should know more than our ancestors. This current system have created by our ancestors. Why we need resources? Why we need a system? To provide the resources for survival. And right now the countries are fighting for resources, whoever controls. But these resources are available for everyone. If you are born into this world, mean you should be able to get resources, whatever resources for your survival, for you to provide food, shelter and basic needs to live stress free. And when we all born without knowing anything, we seek guidance, right? And there were many great humans who were born with before us, and they have left a message. But most of those leaders, people, didn't write it in books. Most of the books were written either 400, 500 years after, or people surrounded by them. Now imagine if you write a book about some other person, you write your own perception about that person, right? You write your own perception about that person. That means if we read a book, for example Bible, it is a perception of some other people, and even that is 2000 years ago. And nowadays when you live, sometimes you can't trust what current living presidents are saying, right? You can't trust. So how can you tell me that you can trust some books written years ago? Because long time ago, who had the power to write a book and publish among the world, throughout the world, kings or popes, emperors, they had the power. So how can you tell that those emperors, kings, didn't write that books, or when translating, they added their version, they added their perspective? How can we not say? And for a fact we know, any book in the world is written by human who was born without knowing anything. So is it fair to justify killing an human based on something written in a book? And how can we not tell that leaders are taking action unconsciously, or they have another agenda that they don't tell us in the media? So what is media? From media, how can someone can create a reality in your head? By feeding the same news again and again, same idea again and again, showing the enemy again and again. The more you perceive something, your brain start to think it as the truth, it as the reality. So if you are not conscious enough, you will perceive it as reality and you will justify their actions with them. So in my opinion, if you like to see a mindful humanity in the world, either there should be leaders who can prioritize millions of people before their attachments. If that happens, killing an human for whatever reason won't be an option for them. When leaders become good citizens, citizens automatically become good, mindful, peaceful. When leaders live in chaos with emotions like anger, frustration, that's the only thing they know to project to you. The other way we can do is citizens got to be conscious, be aware. When humans, citizens are aware, they're gonna elect a leader who is aware as well. There's a saying that says the leader of a country is appointed by the intelligence of its own people. So if you are blaming about the leader right now, it is not the fault of the leader. It's your fault because you are not aware enough. You let them manipulate you through media. You didn't know what's happening inside your own head. They didn't give the education, that's one reason, but it's the evolution, right? Now there's education in a single device. Our parents didn't have that luxury. They just fed whatever fed by the media, radio, newspapers. That's it. They didn't have any option to learn what is happening in the world, how their mind works, what is really happening. But now you have that luxury. You have that technology. You can think for yourself. When there are citizens who think for themselves, leaders won't be able to manipulate you because their job is simply to create system for you to make it easy for provide the basic needs so you can live happy. The resources in the world, and most of the time leaders are fighting for those resources, sanctioning, killing civilians just to take control of resources. Why? Because they have an attachment. If they were number one, they got to be number one forever. But whatever started have to come to an end. That's the law of universe. And for a fact, I can say another thing. In your life, whatever you do, if you exceed a limit, that will be harmful to you, right? If you eat too much, you can't breathe, you can't walk. It's hard for you. If you continue that for a long time, it's not good for you. So if you smoke or do drugs or do whatever, if you exceed the limit, whatever happens, it slowly start to destroy you, corrupt you. So humans should have balance in everything. And just like that, this world must have balance. We are evolving, right? From our parents learn from grandparents, and we are adding our knowledge and we are evolving. So we evolve in technological way. Why we need technology? To survive, to provide our basic needs and to make our lives easy. So physically we evolve, and also we evolve spiritually by understanding about yourself, to connecting to nature, to live according to nature, because you are nature. If you have technology that keep you away from nature, how can you survive? There's a big question mark. How can you survive if you are apart from nature? Because you are nature. So there's a earth and there's us. We just stay here few years, right? And right now we have evolved so far with technology, but spiritually we don't see much far. We have so much technology, but still we kill innocent civilians. in order to protect our titles, power, money, beliefs. So if we are evolving in technological, like physically and spiritually, and what if one thing exceeds the another thing? It can collapse. So that's why we got to have balance on earth. We got to evolve spiritually as well with the evolution of technologically. If we don't do that, what will happen? What will happen is told in the history. In the history, clearly there were ancient, advanced civilizations before us. Their technology might be different according to that time, but they were technologically advanced civilizations. But they are not here right now, and that is a fact. They are not here right now. What happened? Somewhere along the way they have collapsed. Why? Because they forgot the spiritual side. They forgot their attachment towards money. They wanted more and more. They forgot their attachment towards power. They wanted more and more. So right now, this civilization also evolving very fast in technology. And that is why citizens need to be aware to learn about themselves. For a fact, I can tell you that our world, our actions, we take even unconsciously from our thoughts, emotions. If we can't observe our thought, how can we make our action consciously? If we can't observe our emotion, how can we manage our emotions? How can we take action consciously? It's going to be hard. We do things unconsciously and we regret it later. Again, you suffer inside yourself again and again for something you did unconsciously. So if humans, citizens become conscious, then they're going to elect leaders who are conscious, who can prioritize millions of people in their country before their attachment towards money, power, titles, worldly resources. So when that happens, they will understand exactly what their job is. Simply, their job is to create systems in order to make you easy to provide your basic needs. Humans can think and focus and create anything in the world. We have created faster cars, jets, satellites, anything. How? By imagination. By imagining first, then as a collective, by contributing. So, tell me why we can't think and focus and create much better systems for us to survive without stress free. Then most of the people have time to go within themselves. That is why you appoint leaders. Their job is to manage the resources in the world, not to fight for it. Communicate, build relationship with other nations to distribute resources. We have enough resources for all 8 billion people in this world. There's excess food in this world, and yet there are 1 billion people who go to sleep hungry, people who can't even feed themselves. So it is not a problem of the resources. So you don't have to kill people in order to bring the population down. What you got to do is you got to have more time to think and focus and prioritize people, not to plan about wars and how to keep the control. When you spend that much of time, how can they have time to think about you? And for a fact, leaders also have 24 hours just like you and me. They also get tired. They are not robots. They may maybe have assistants, but they also are humans. And a leader who cannot manage their emotions, their thoughts, that pressure, they can't stay still and think about humans, about the well-being of people. Because before those people, they have other attachments to protect, like their power, title, their identity, their character, the image they show to the world. What will happen? Their image is destroyed. People don't want, then they will kick him out. then he will have shame, guilt, shame mostly. So, as a surviving human, they don't want that shame because it is a pain. Their body avoid that pain, so they react with whatever power they have. They react. They try to oppress that, suppress that. So when they use their mental energy to do that, tell me how they can have time to really think for you and me and our children, the next generation. How can they have time? In my opinion, it is hard, and that is why we either need to educate the citizens, so then citizens can elect, ask for better leadership in the world. Yeah, simply we got to educate the citizens, tell them about themselves, their own mind, how it works, how media can shape your narrative, how a repeated story can be the truth in your head. They know exactly about your mind. They have psychologists, they have all the people who know about this knowledge, and with all that help, they create all the propaganda. So the only option right now, if you like to evolve in a better way, if you like to evolve in this way, no problem, nothing to be done. But if you like to do evolve in a better way, we got to understand ourselves, and then we got to demand leaders who understand themselves first, who have gone through themselves, because only a leader who have gone through themselves can understand another human being and prioritize their well-being. Otherwise it will be hard for them. If their life is driven unconsciously, their actions, emotions, they can't prioritize you. So I believe it is time for us to learn about our own mind, so that we can create a better world, better systems for children. And the other thing we can do is give this education to our children when they are in school. So when they grow up to be 20-25, their life will be conscious. They will take actions consciously. They will understand their emotions. They will learn to take control of their thoughts, to observe thoughts and make decisions consciously. So either way, the world will change. If you teach the children, the world will be so much different in 20 years. If you demand leaders, the world will be different in 5 to 10 years. So the choice is up to you, my friend. As always,